In this video we will create a copper material in Blender 2.8 Cycles and Eevee. The link to the extended tutorial version of this video, with a step-by-step walkthrough and all the material settings in detail, is in the description and on screen right now. When we look at reference images of copper, we can clearly see that when copper ages and weathers, it gets a green patina. To make our CG copper look realistic, we will also replicate this effect. First, we need a model, and this statue from the University of Stanford is a very nice candidate for our material. The link is in the description. Since 2.8 doesn't have an import feature for PLY files yet, I use 2.79 to import the model, scale it up and rotate it, and place the camera. Go over to 2.8. Delete everything from the default scene, and append the model and the camera from the file I just created in 2.79. Right away I set up an HDRI for nice lighting. Now for the materials. Let's start with cycles. And the first material I create here is the copper. I take a principled shader and set metallic to 1. Now I need the copper color. I figured I would make the parts that stick out of the model a little lighter. My theory behind this is that the surface might be worn there from people touching the statue. So I use a color ramp with these two colors and the pointiness output of the geometry node as a factor. The pointiness is mostly around about a value of 0.5, so we have to move our colors in to the center. I position the dark one on the left at 0.45 and the brighter one on the right at 0.55. When we take a look at the color now, this is what we get. To give a metal material like copper a very realistic look, we can use a simple trick to add variation to the color. We take a noise texture and plug the reflection output of the texture coordinate node into the vector. This creates these sort of rainbow, almost like a soap bubble colors. Now we simply overlay this on top of our copper colors and get this effect. So when I look at the metallic shader now, we already have a very nice copper metal material. To give it even more variation and realism, I use a Musgrave texture with a high scale, plug that into a color ramp with a dark gray value of 0.4 and a lighter gray of 0.5, and use this to give the roughness some variation. Now in 2.8 we also have to take the square root for the roughness. That's it for the copper material. Now I create the green patina material. I take another principled node and set the roughness to a higher value. For the color I use a color ramp with a darker and a lighter shade of the green patina. I take a noise texture with a large scale value as the factor, which gives us this fine pattern. To increase this rough feel even more, I take the same noise texture for a bump node with a strength of 0.3. And here we have the patina material finished. Now what we have to do is mix those two materials together so that the patina shows up in the cavities and less exposed areas. This is where the brand new Ambient Occlusion node comes in. In 2.8, we don't need to bake ambient occlusion maps anymore, we can just use this handy node, which creates a grayscale ambient occlusion color for us. I switch on only local and set the distance. To increase the effect, I can turn up the contrast using our best friend, the color ramp. The white area is where we will have our copper material and the dark areas will show the patina. So the ambient occlusion node now gives us some larger areas for our patina. Now let's also add the finer details inside the cavities of the mesh. We can use the same pointiness for this again, and another color ramp to tune in the effect we want. To combine these two, we simply multiply them together with a factor of 1. And now we use this output as the mix factor between the copper and the patina. Since we plugged in the patina on the bottom of our mix shader node, we have to invert our factor. And we get a really nice looking copper material, as you can see here. Using the new Ambient Occlusion node made the entire workflow really quick and easy. Now let's see what we can get in EEVEE. When I Ctrl-Shift-click the Ambient Occlusion node, we get a flat surface. So this doesn't work in EEVEE, at least for now in Alpha 2. Also, the pointiness output doesn't work in EEVEE yet. Let's look at the copper material alone. This looks fine. And the patina material also looks okay. So we have to come up with a different solution for the mix factor. One solution is to bake our mix factor. We go back to Cycles. We just look at the output of our mix factor setup. We set the world lighting to white. We have to UV unwrap the model and then bake our patina mix factor into a new image. And once that is done, we can use this map as a mix factor for the copper material in EEVEE. At this point, I have spent hours trying to figure out why this doesn't always work. But I guess this is just one of the several frustrations we still have to endure using an alpha version software. Voila, super nice looking copper in the viewport in real time. Please enjoy while I rotate the view and look around. The speed and quality that is already achievable with EEVEE surprises me every single time. I hope you liked this video, and like I said at the beginning, you can find the link to the entire step-by-step tutorial on my channel and linked in the description. Please like, comment and subscribe. I have more stuff coming. Thanks for watching. See you soon.